What's going on? This is Cody, and you're tuned to B-Boy 45, broadcasting from the Seacrest Studios. It is time for another special edition of the latest news to keep you in the groove with Maya. Maya, who do we have on FaceTime today?
Sean Patrick Murray.
Sean Patrick Murray! Oh my gosh, how are you?
I am fantastic, and I'm so excited to be chatting with you guys. Thank you so much for letting me come on and talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Take it away, Maya. It's your show.
Okay. So, what made you want to become a musician?
Oh, gosh. That is a great question. You know, I don't think I actually chose to be a musician, to be honest. It was one of those things that I started doing just as a young age. When I was, like 4 or 5 years old, I'd always just be kind of making noises around the house, and I didn't really know that was even considered singing. And I remember one day I went to a summer camp, and my counselor, I was, bouncing off of walls and climbing on things and being a kid, but I was always just performing. But I didn't really know what that meant or what that was. And my counselor was like, you could make money doing what you do. And I was like, well, what's that? And she was like, being an actor and a singer. And I'm like a real job, like my mom and dad? And they're like, yeah, but you can do it like now. And that was like the first time that I was like, whoa, like I'm just doing something naturally that I love to do, and I could actually pursue this. So it was one of those things that kind of just started naturally just from within. And then I followed that passion, and, it kind of went off lots of different paths. And I was kind of, for a while, I was thinking, I really like songwriting, but I'm not a songwriter. And I really like singing. Maybe I'll follow that and I won't try songwriting. And then I was like, well, maybe I'm going to just focus on my acting. And so it's kind of like this, it was this roller coaster ride. And then it kind of all came full circle with the Westside.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So what gave you the idea to create Westside?
Oh, that's so it goes back to almost 3 years ago. So it came out 2018. It was 3 years in the works. And so I went to NYU for college. And while I was at NYU, I studied acting. And, I was taking all my classes, and I kind of, just out of necessity to kind of create and do something else, I started just creating things on my own. And it was when Facebook just came out, believe it or not, I'm that old. Facebook and YouTube had just come out. So it was brand new, and putting content on the World Wide Web was very new. And so I created a little demo reel of me and my friends living in New York at the time. You can actually check it out still on YouTube. It's called Under the Arch. And actually, my friend that was on it is now on Vanderpump Rules. So it's kind of like we had similar paths that went, on parallel ways. But so I didn't even really, kind of like singing, I didn't really realize what producing was. I just, again, did it out of necessity and out of wanting to do something else and create. And I fell into producing through that. Someone by the name of Michael Flutie, who now has been my mentor, my boss, and my business partner for the past 12 years. He, an intern, sent me an email. This is a very long-winded story, by the way. I'm sorry. Sent me a message on YouTube saying, we really love what you've been doing online. We think, digital is the future. Would you like to come in and develop this show about you and your friends going to NYU? And I was like, no, I don't want to be online. TV is where it's at. I want to be famous. And they're like, trust me, go to digital. So that was kind of like my first introduction to producing. But and then from there, I started working at this production company, but my boss was always so supportive and saying, as long as you get your work done, you can leave for auditions whenever you want, and I will always support you and in any way possible. And so cut to 10 years later, we both ended up moving our company to Los Angeles. And I was in LA for about 2 years, and I was talking to some friends. I'm like, man, I just really miss singing. I just feel like I'm missing something in my heart. And my friend was like, well, there's a really great company out here that does theater in LA. You should audition for them. So I auditioned. I ended up getting the part, and then, funny story, the location ended up getting changed. It was supposed to be like down the block from my apartment. The gig ended up moving to a ship in the middle of the ocean for 7 months. But it was there that I met Caitlin and James and a few other cast members. And I immediately just fell in love with them. They became my best friends. And at the time, James and Kate were dating. And so I was so just fascinated with, because it was kind of like college all over again, except we were on a ship and we couldn't escape, you know? We'd be talking late nights, and we were like, when we get off the ship, what are we going to do? And I was like, guys, I have experience in producing and development. Let's create our own show, and we'll put on our own live show in Los Angeles. And so when I got back, we made a pact that we were going to work on that together. And then it was a year of development, and then a good 6 months of pitching. And then it was between
like
Netflix
a baseball?
and Amazon. I'm sorry?
Pitching like a baseball?
No, I'm sorry. So pitching as in like we created a sizzle reel, which was basically like a 10-minute music video with little vignettes introducing us as cast members. And then we would go to different networks and pitch it as a TV show and to see who wanted to buy it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was a very long-winded story of how it came to be. I fell into producing just out of just experimenting and kind of fine-tune my producing skills. Then I went back to singing, and then it led to this project. So it was kind of the perfect storm.
Cool.
That's awesome. Well, after this, your next project has to be, Friends on a Boat or something. I mean, you got to talk about that, right?
It's kind of, that's something I've been thinking about too, because we all like wrote journals while we were on the ship for 7 months as well. And there's so much gold and so many funny stories that happen there. I'm thinking that would maybe be more of like a scripted show. But what's great about being, I guess, quote unquote, an artist or even in the entertainment world is that these days, you don't have to be put in a box, and something can inspire you and make you want to write a song and then say, oh, that song, really inspired a TV concept, and then think about that. Or, today I want to make a painting. So it's once you start using all those muscles, there's no different like medium that you can't go into. And I'm not an expert writer, but I think what I've learned the most is that every single person has a unique voice, which makes them special. And that voice is what's going to stick out from the crowd.
That's
cool.
That's good advice right there, too. Yeah. That's good stuff.
I'm trying to still live by myself, but it's been the one thing that I've learned is that, you can't try to please someone else with what you're doing, and to always listen to my gut, because too many times I'll hear it, in my gut, and I'm like, leave me alone. I'm trying to be collaborative or whatever. And then my gut's like, you shouldn't do that. You should do what your idea was. And, it's nobody knows you or your style or your passions or what your strengths and weaknesses are better than yourself.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you decide, who to cast?
Who to cast? Okay, so that was part B of my very long-winded story. It was originally when we had created the Sizzle, it was there were 7 cast members. We were in a show on the ship, and all 7 of us were originally in the demo Sizzle reel that we had gone out to pitch. And then, 2 years had gone by, and some people were in different places, and some people didn't know if they necessarily wanted to be with the show as it evolved. And then once we landed with Netflix, it was kind of, we were in a much different place. And so, the music world is, which I found after being here for now almost 7 years, is once you get into a community, it's actually quite small. So once I started reaching out saying, hey, I'm working on this project, we're putting up an original live show, but we're also going to have cameras documenting the process. Do you know who might be interested? It immediately filters out certain people, brings new people in. And so a lot of them were like 6 degrees of separation, where I had seen Pia perform at another show, and I immediately was like on Instagram, like, you're incredible, and I started fangirling over her, and and I was like, you have to be in the show, and then James and Caitlin had some friends, so it was a lot of mutual friends.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite moment from the show?
I have so many favorite moments, Maya. I would say, the whole process was like one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences, because it was like putting a magnifying glass on your life and really showcasing, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, where am I vulnerable? And so there were a lot of really incredible learning lessons in a lot of different moments. Obviously, I think like one of the highlights was definitely getting married on the show. And that was something that was really, I would talk to Andy about all the time, where all the other producers and the director, they're very, very sensitive to, hey, we understand you have a life of your own, and whatever you want to share with the public is up to you. And I had long discussions with my now husband, and I said, do we want to showcase this wedding? And ultimately we were like, this is a day of celebration with our family and friends. Why not invite others in and just show the love and the support and just make it one big party? So that was one incredible moment. And then I think one of my favorite other moments and scenes were in episode 8, the very last episode, where we were at One Oak and we performed. That was just so much fun and so rewarding, and we were all just like on the floor crying and so emotional, and it was kind of bittersweet too, because we knew it was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those moments too. Yeah. So I love the song from Westside, "We Are the Ones." So what was the inspiration for it?
So the way that, and this was the coolest part about the format of the show, was we filmed everything from September 2017 to December, the end of 2018, or 17, where it was all documentary. So from the whole process, there was no music like videos at all, in that part of the process. So everything that happened was all very linear. And then once we had everything filmed, all of the documentary, then we'd go back into scenes and say, okay, so for the first episode, what are the most important scenes that happened? And it was obviously, the first part was the introduction of who are all these cast members. And so we had a music executive producer on board. His name is James Diener. He's also my music manager now. But his job then was to, once we identified a scene, which was the scene outside of my backyard, which I'm at my house now, so I was going to show you, but I don't know if the Wi-Fi will go out there. Was the backyard scene. So we're like, okay, so we want to write an original song about, starting off with these new group of friends and starting on a high note and feeling that feeling of anything is possible. We can conquer the world. I'm the one, you are the one, we are all the ones, we all have it in us. And so we got set up with this guy, Ross Golan, who, if you Google him, he's written so many incredible songs. And we did it in this studio with this guy named Max Martin. And Max Martin is like pop royalty. I mean,
what? You worked with Max
back
Martin?
In the did everything from Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. So we walked into this huge mansion and we were all just like, what is happening? Where are we? And as we were recording, it was the compound, this house was actually, so they turned this house into a recording studio, and the house used to be Marilyn Monroe's. And the room in which we were recording in used to be where Frank Sinatra slept, because Frank Sinatra used to stop by Marilyn Monroe's house. I don't know. And so it was a really surreal moment it was the first song, that we're kicking off with. There was so much history, so much excitement. And so it was just one of those experiences that when that kind of became the theme song, it just felt right. It was like the most representative and the most universal. You know, it's the show itself definitely, I think, you know, it teeters between, you know, PG-13, I'd say, and R, but like that song is very much PG. Like anyone can listen to it with their kids and their family and just feel really good about it. And that was the main message that we wanted to get across.
That's
nice.
So cool. Yeah. So for Westside, you were a producer and creator, singer, actor.
All of it.
Yeah. Which was your favorite?
Man, Maya, you have some really good questions. It's getting me thinking again. You know, it's really hard because each one was like a different muscle that I had to use. So it was kind of like going to the gym and, you know, working out my bicep and being like, oh, I should focus on my bicep a little bit more. And being like, oh, but don't forget your back because your back connects, you know, it's over to your arm and then it supports the bicep. And so it was kind of like it was a lot to balance at once, but they all kind of supplemented each other in a way where I can tell you, though, the most vulnerable and scariest role was singing, just because I had been behind the scenes for so long and been in the development and the production that I was just so routine that, you know, everyone else, they weren't involved in production and every single day was just, you know, all they did was sing. So they definitely started in a much more, with a bigger advantage and preparation and experience with the singing than I did. But they, you know, the best part of being an ensemble was once we realized that it wasn't a competition and there was no elimination or anything like that, everyone was just so supportive and they really were generous with their time and support with me as a singer and giving me the confidence to be the best artist I could be as well. All I want to be.
So, do you ever get anxious before a performance?
Every single time. I was nervous even before this FaceTime. I was nervous. You know, and I think my dad used to tell me, because I would, you know, I started acting at a really young age doing commercials, and I would even get a little nervous going into the room, and, you know, my mom would drive me in and she'd be behind the other door, and I would always get anxious about like leaving my mom and going on these auditions and then performing. And my dad would always say, Sean, if you're not nervous, then you're too full of yourself. So like from then on, like I looked at anxiety and nervousness as a way of being real, of being human, of acknowledging that, yeah, you know, like it is kind of scary, but as long as the fun outweighs the anxiety and the nervousness, then, you know, it always wins with why we perform. And the same way with, you know, whether it's, you know, talking on having your own, you know, radio show or going to work and doing something else. If the anxiety is too much where it's not fun, then it's like, well, why am I doing it? You know, and I should find something else. So I always try to balance out and check in with myself of how am I feeling, you know, and if I am feeling more anxious than a time before, I'll look into like, why am I nervous? And also vocalizing it, saying like, I'm nervous really helps. If you tell someone and you're in a group of people like, hey, just so you guys know, this is where I'm at right now. Like, I feel kind of nervous. It automatically takes you out of your own head and you're like, everyone else already knows. So why do I need to keep it in my head? It's out there, it's gone. And it kind of releases the responsibility of holding it in. So it's a constant, you know, lesson of practicing those exercises as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you have a pre-show ritual to help you get ready for your shows?
I usually never eat before a show because then if I sing on a full stomach, number one, I'm scared of burping, and number two, I just don't. If I am nervous, I don't want to get too nauseous. I usually like to, the day of a performance, I always like to go for a run and clear my head. Going to the gym is one of those things that you know, it obviously, it's, you know, you'll build muscle and things like that. But for me also, it's just a great way to kind of clear my mind and focus on what I need to do in this sort of cyclical way. Just like running on a treadmill or going on a bike or even just a long walk kind of takes you out of your head and lets you just be in the present.
Cool.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of new shows and music that have come out this year. Are there any that you're obsessed with?
I am obviously a Netflix fanatic. This is embarrassing because I binge everything. I love The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I love, what was the last one I just watched? You, which was the one with Penn Badgley from Gossip Girl. But as far as like other music shows, I'm really excited for, there's a new show that is coming out, I don't know when, with Ben Platt from Dear Evan Hansen. And it's called The Politician, I think. And it's supposed to be like a musical scripted show. So I'm excited for that. But, you know, anything that has heart, anything that's funny, anything that can make me laugh, you know, I will watch. So what about you? Do you have what are you watching right now?
You don't have time. You don't have time to hear what Maya is watching right now.
Yeah. Well, the new shows that I'm obsessed with are The Neighborhood, A Million Little Things, and God Friended Me.
Oh, well, those are all three that I have not even checked out. So I need to check that out. A Million Little Things, is that good? Do you really like that one?
Yeah.
It looks like it's just going to make me cry every episode.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Crying is cathartic. It feels good to cry and let it out, you know?
Yeah. So, if you could meet any fictional character, who would it be and why?
Well, this is going to be any fictional character. I think it's a combination of both. One of my favorite movies is The Greatest Showman. So I would love to meet the character of Hugh Jackman and Hugh Jackman himself. And Zac Efron and Zendaya and all them.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie was one of those. I mean, and Pasek and Paul are they're the composers that did all the music to that. And they're the same composers that did Dear Evan Hansen and La La Land as well. So I really like that genre.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could be any animated character, who would you be and why?
An animated character. Wow. You know what? I would want to be an animated character like in a comedy that takes place in Ireland. Maybe I'd just be a little leprechaun that just kind of like bounced around because I'm Irish. Green is my favorite color. And, you know, they're funny and, you know, they're always looking for their Lucky Charms.
Yeah, you could be the Lucky Charms guy, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. I just want to be the Lucky Charms guy.
Yeah.
So what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve, is when people don't put on their blinkers when they're driving and turning left or right. Not safe.
Not safe.
Put on your
Right.
blinker. It's 2 seconds. Just go like this. Go boop, and then it clicks. That is my biggest pet peeve. And then I'm sure I have another one. Let's see. My husband just walked in. Andy, what's my biggest pet peeve? What would you say my biggest pet peeve is?
For a kid show.
For kid show.
Yeah. He said the noises that he makes in the morning when he's like groaning that he has to go to work. That's also a pet peeve of mine.
So if you could be any superhero, which one would you be and why?
If I could be any superhero, Maya, again with the questions, you are stumping me. I would want to be a new superhero that just helps kids, you know, that gives kids hope, that helps kids with bullies. If someone's taking backpacks, I just get the bullies and, nothing drastic, but maybe trip them accidentally and stuff like that. But I think I'd like to be a superhero that kind of is just always having fun and laughing with kids.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could have any song playing to announce your entrance into a room, what song would it be?
Whew. We Are the Ones would be a really great one. That's really fun. I feel like it fluctuates because I'm always listening to new music. So let me just check my Spotify right now and see who I've been, because every time I'm at the gym, I listen to a new artist. I really, really, really love Ed Sheeran. Not all of his songs are super super upbeat. So I'd say like an upbeat song from Ed Sheeran, or maybe even just like "We Will Rock You" by Queen. I mean, that's just a classic,
Yeah.
Or just, there's so many good songs that I would want to be entered by. I can't go wrong with "All I Want to Be" either. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of songs too.
It's hard. My playlist changes all the time.
Yeah. So is there a certain line from a song that has always stuck with you or inspires you?
A certain song. I am actually speechless, Maya. I'm trying to think of, what some of the lyrics when I was working on and getting, the lyrics for "All I Want to Be" and kind of got that song. Even the simple message of "All I Want to Be is more" is so simple and universal. It's not saying I'm the best. It's not saying I'm the worst. It's just saying that, I want to be more than I am at this moment, and always striving to be better. So that kind of stuck with me. It's funny, a lot of the songs in the album in Westside, there are a lot of great one-liners. Just like "Candle in a Hurricane" and "Beautiful," it's a lot of imagery. Caitlin's song "Can't Find the Words" is one of my favorites. Actually, you know what? Lexi's song those lines really stuck with me. Let me see if I can pull those up, because it's the very first song of "You Think You Know Someone," and I really loved those let me pull it up right now. "You Think You Know Someone," Lexi lyrics. It's like your lips are selling roses, but your hands are full of weeds. I thought that was such like a poetic, beautiful line of someone that, is saying one thing but doing something else. So the message was always kind of like actions speak louder than words,
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Do you have a motto or quotation that you live by?
I have a few, but the one that I always joke about, and my friends are always like, "Where's your motto, Sean?" And it's "Run the day or the day will run you." So it's kind of, if you don't take charge of the day is going to happen whether or not you get up out of bed, or you either get out of bed or you don't. So it's kind of, how are you going to seize the day? And then there's another one. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't. I always get this wrong, and my husband always laughs at me. It's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
So it's just like you'll never know unless you try.
We talked to Maya interviewed someone else, and that was their exact quote too. Who
Really?
was that, Maya?
I think it's a famous Wayne Gretzky
Who was
quote.
it?
I can't remember who said that.
Yeah.
They didn't say it in the sports analogy. They said it a different way, and I said, "Like you miss 100%," and they were like, "Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
I can't remember who that was though.
It's a great
It'll come
sentiment,
to
though.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
A real life superhero. I think on a big level, I think Ellen DeGeneres is a real life superhero.
Found one of Maya's favorites.
I've followed her journey for so long, and what she does with her laughter to heal. You know, we all deal with pain and things that are going on in the world in different ways, but she brings an outlet that brings so much laughter and joy to so many millions of people. I think that she's definitely a real life superhero. You know, and then on a smaller level, I mean, not for nothing, Maya, but I mean, what you're doing is super cool too. I think, you know, everyday people like you are real life superheroes of just making a difference in the world and, you know, finding a passion and following it so that you can, you know, entertain someone else or make, you know, someone else's day brighter that may just, you know, want to not think about something else for a while. So I think it's super cool what you're doing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, absolutely, Maya. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been so excited to talk to you.
Thank you. I have been too. I keep saying I'm not available from 2 until I don't know when because it may go very long, but this is my blocked out time and we've been planning this for a very long time, so there will be no interruptions.
That's awesome.
So I hope we get to keep in touch and you know, definitely I hope we get to chat again soon. And fingers crossed that, you know, there's a season 2 and we can continue this journey. And if there's ever, you know, anyone else that you want to chat with too on the show, you know, definitely let me know because they're all amazing people. And we love chatting with anyone that's, you know, felt something or responded in a positive way to our stories. So I can't thank you enough for giving me the time to chat with you guys.
It has been awesome talking with you. Thank you so much. If you're ever in Colorado, of course, you got to make sure you swing by the Seacrest studios here. We'd love to have you. I'm sure the kids here at the hospital would love to meet you.
I would love that. Absolutely. My cousin lives in Denver, so maybe a few of us can come out and sing some songs at the studio or something.
Oh, man. We'd love it. We would love it.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that.
All right. We'll be in touch,
Sean.
all right?
All right.
Thank you.
Guys. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.